How did one of the most followed influencers on the planet, with over 160 million fans, suddenly vanish from the United States? And more importantly, how did he get caught in the middle of one of the most aggressive immigration crackdowns in recent history? This is the shocking story of Khaby Lame, the silent TikTok star whose facial expressions made him a global icon, and how his quiet presence became headline news in the middle of a political storm. But as it turns out, the story is far from simple. Let's get into it. It all started in Las Vegas. Khaby Lame, the TikTok sensation who rarely speaks but says everything with his face, was suddenly detained by U.S. immigration authorities. Why? Officials claimed he overstayed his welcome, literally. His visa had expired, and he was still in the country. But here's where it gets interesting. His arrest wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a days-long investigation. He was detained, quietly released the same day, and then he left the country on his own. When exactly? No one knows. Authorities didn't release the date, and Khaby himself hasn't said a word. His silence has only made fans more curious. Some believe he slipped away deliberately, avoiding the media circus. Others wonder if there's more to the story than anyone's letting on. But Khaby's sudden exit didn't just disappear into the headlines. It exploded into something much bigger. Khaby's situation wasn't just about an expired visa. It became part of something far more intense. The aggressive immigration crackdown led by former President Donald Trump. Under this surge, the U.S. ramped up cross-country raids, stepped up deportations, and sparked nationwide protests. Hundreds of people, many with far less fame than Khaby, were being caught in these sweeping operations. But Khaby's case stood out. He wasn't just another name on a list. He was a global superstar suddenly tangled in a political war on immigration. And his quiet departure? It only fueled the fire. Fans were left wondering, was Khaby targeted, or was this just a high-profile mistake? But the next twist in this story would raise even more questions. What makes this story even more mysterious is Khaby's complete silence. Since his departure, he hasn't posted about it, hasn't spoken to the press, and hasn't even dropped a single clue to his millions of fans. People were expecting a statement, maybe even a video, but nothing came. So where did he go? Some fans believe he returned to Italy. Others think he's traveling under the radar, avoiding attention until things cool down. But without confirmation, his silence has only deepened the curiosity. Why would one of the most visible people in the world suddenly go invisible? And the answer might have something to do with the visa issue that triggered everything. Khaby Lame entered the U.S. on April 30th. As an Italian citizen, he was allowed to stay up to 90 days without needing a visa. But officials say he overstayed that limit, and that's where the trouble started. But was it really that simple? Some reports suggest it could have been an honest mistake, a misunderstanding of the exact allowed time frame. Others believe it may have been mismanaged paperwork, or a lapse in attention while he focused on his skyrocketing career. Whatever the cause, the overstay put him directly in the path of U.S. immigration enforcement. But here's the thing. Instead of facing a harsh deportation order that could have blocked him from re-entering the U.S. for up to 10 years, Khaby was given the option of voluntary departure. This quiet exit saved him from a permanent ban. But why would someone with Khaby's resources let it get this far? That's the part no one can explain. And what he chose next would ultimately protect his future. By leaving voluntarily, Khaby avoided the scarlet letter of a deportation order. Had he been officially deported, U.S. immigration law could have slammed the door shut on him for an entire decade. But this quiet exit? It leaves the door open. He can still return in the future, possibly without restriction. It's almost like he escaped through a side door just before it was locked. For most people, voluntary departure is a difficult choice, but in Khaby's case, it may have been a strategic move to protect his career. He didn't fight, he didn't make noise, he just left. But this quiet goodbye has raised even more questions. Why did it come to this? Was it carelessness, or was something else going on behind the scenes? And what happened next would make fans wonder if they ever really knew the full story. It's hard to believe that someone like Kabi Lamame, a man who became famous for not speaking, suddenly found himself at the center of a loud global controversy. With over 162 million TikTok followers, Kabi didn't need words to capture the world's attention. His signature silent reactions and iconic facial expressions spoke to everyone, no matter their language or culture. "It's my face and my expressions which make people laugh," Kabi once told the New York Times in 2021, and that's exactly what made him different. He didn't need trends. He didn't need complex jokes. He kept it simple, and that simplicity made him a superstar. We know Kabi attended the Met Gala in May, surrounded by the most powerful people in entertainment, fashion, and business. But here's what no one seems to know. What else was he doing in the U.S.? Some believe he was working on secret projects, building partnerships behind the scenes. Others think he may have simply lost track of time during his travels. But the timeline doesn't quite add up. Was it really just an accidental overstay? Or was there something else going on that we haven't been told? And why has Kabi completely avoided the topic? Not a single post, not a single interview, not even a joke about it. His silence has only made the story bigger. And as fans keep digging, one question still lingers. Will Kabi return to the U.S., or has this chapter of his life quietly closed for good? So here's what we know. Kabi Lame, the silent superstar who made the world laugh, was quietly detained, quietly released, and quietly left the United States. No media statements, no social media explanations, just silence. His story has become part of a much bigger picture, one that connects celebrity life, immigration crackdowns, and the growing challenges even the most famous people can't escape. And maybe that's the most shocking part of all. How could someone with the power to reach millions suddenly get caught in a system that didn't care who he was? The real question is, was this a simple mistake? Or was there more going on than we've been told? Only time and maybe Kabi himself will tell.